Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you are doing good on this last Friday of the month. Um, this is actually going to be my first entry to my new blog, which is dedicated to my script novels. I've never really, done too much of this, live webcasting or recording or anything. So just have to bear with me a little bit so I can kind of get the hang of it. But like I said, I wanted to start this because I wanted to kind of promote my books that I write. I actually write 4 script novels. I've actually been doing it for several years now. It's going on about 7 years now that I've just really got into my writing, and actually just living out here in the Midwest and Southern Ohio, there's not too much leeway for writers and things of that capacity. For the field that I want to do is more here you can do a lot of journalism and things like that, but I like to write creatively, create my own stories and create my own worlds, and make up my own characters and just make it up as I go. So what I want to do first of all is just tell you a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Mark Anthony Brownlee. But everybody knows me as Anthony, and I've lived in Ohio my entire life, and I've just always been a horror fan. Saw my very first horror movie probably at the age of 4, and I just fell in love with that genre. And it actually wasn't until I was 6 when I saw which is my favorite movie today, which is A Nightmare on Elm Street. And that movie is actually the movie that made me want to be a writer, just because I think that story is just really unique and innovative, and just had a lot to offer, especially in the 80s when the slasher era was brand new, and everybody was trying to come up with the latest guy in a mask running around with a butcher knife or a machete. But Nightmare was just really different. I never really felt that movie was like the other movies. It wasn't quite the slasher that most people kind of say it is. In my opinion, it's not. It's just more creative than that. It had a lot more depth, and you really got to know the characters, and really got to follow along with the heroine, Nancy Thompson, who when I write my stories, I kind of base a lot of my female characters off of her a little bit. I'd say my characters are 90% original, and then have 10% of Nancy Thompson in them. She just kind of like embodies like that perfect this heroine, the hero of the story that just is able to figure it out, and just do what she can do naturally, and just is able to survive at the end. And so, and also, like when I write male characters, I kind of have a little bit of her, and then she's just kind of like my template for what it means to be a heroine in these horror situations. And so that movie just really just kind of embedded itself in me. And Wes Craven's one of my favorite writers. He just has so many cool ideas that just a lot of stuff that's not going on today, because there's so many remakes and not a lot of originality is going on, which I can't quite understand, because I'm if I can come up with some of these stories that I'm writing that are unique and different, I'm sure Hollywood can come up with their own. Like there's so much, I just feel like you can always take an old idea and bring it into modern day, which is pretty much what I do with all my stories. They kind of have like a 70s and 80s feel to them, but they're set in pretty much the present. But I just feel like you can always take an old idea and spin it around and add something new to it, and there's always room for originality anywhere. You can take a classic ghost story and make that different somehow with something that nobody's quite seen before. And so that's what I do. I just try to follow that. I just try to kind of research some stuff by ways of media and maybe old newspaper articles, just things like that. You can just kind of take one thing and connect it and just make a story out of it. There's so many possibilities. And actually, one other tool I use is I keep a dream journal. And I used to write down pretty much every dream that I had, but then I just kind of felt that was kind of silly because some dreams were just kind of like like wow, like like that really didn't need to be written down for anything. It was just nothing. But I do have some dreams that are just really kind of just so crazy, and it just like leaves it's kind of impression on me throughout the day, where I'm just kind of walking around and it's just always on my mind, just thinking about it. And I just feel that those dreams are the ones that are significant, and I can use some of those, and which I have. Actually, my first book, Mayhem, which I wrote back in 2006, was actually a dream. And I just it wasn't not my whole dream wasn't the actual book that I wrote. Like I had to fill in some of the gaps, but it was a good chunk. I say a good maybe 50-60% of it was a dream. And I just kind of wrote that down, and then I just kind of followed just some of my own ideas, trying to make it newer and fresher, and it actually turned out pretty well. And that book is actually a trilogy series, which only the first one is out now, and the other say 5 actually, because I actually have 2 stories that are kind of like epilogues to the stuff from the first story that lead into the next story that follows. So I just think those are just having the right tools and just finding the means just to make a really good story. And within the recent years after Mayhem, I wrote a few others. I wrote another book called Bloodshed, which is kind of a semi-homage to Nightmare on Elm Street, even though it has nothing to do with a dream stalker, or someone trying to kill teenagers in their dreams, or it doesn't really have anything to do with dreams at all. It's mostly just the way that it's set up, and the characters, and just being really involved with the characters, because my characters are really set. They're the main force that I just really love focusing on. Like they're the ones that's going to carry you throughout the entire book. I want you to follow them. I want you to get scared when they're scared, and be sad when they're sad. And if one of the characters happens to find themselves on the wrong end of the knife, I want you to be sad that they're gone. Like I just want the reader to really be invested in them. And so that's how I really just kind of create my characters. And I'd say, and also the way that I write is kind of unconventional to the standard ways of writing, which the standard form of writing is prose writing, which is paragraph after paragraph, which is the standard way. And I have no problem with that, but just being the person that I am, I just kind of like doing things a little bit differently. Because sometimes when I read, I kind of can get so lost in the story, especially when it's going into so much detail. I have to kind of like go back and a couple pages to see like who was talking and where I was, and just to kind of refresh my mind, because I've just forgotten, just getting so wrapped up into it. And I know I'm not the only person like that. I know there's several others who I've talked to that kind of have that same problem. So one of the things that I do when I write now is that I combine prose with screenplay writing, because I do love film, and I love a lot of the aspects of film, and just the opportunities it can bring. So for instance, like if somebody's talking, it's going to be the person's name and then exactly what they're saying, And then, after that conversation is done with whoever they're talking to, then you get into, the standard paragraph and the detail, and then also, like, when we change, setting, or when I change the setting to, where we are, then it's going to say whether we're outside or inside, and, what time of the day it is, and, and so on and so forth, like, how screenplay does. And, I just think that, just kind of, changes it up a little bit, makes it a little bit different, and it also kind of makes for a faster read, because I know a lot of these days people don't have a lot of time to really sit down and really get invested into the book, because they want to take their time and just really read it. And the way that this is written, you can get through it a lot faster, but still getting a lot of details you would with a regular book. So I think it's just that's part of my way of being innovative and adding something new to the game. And I know a lot of people won't like it, because a lot of people like tradition and like standardized books, but I know that there are a lot of people who always look for something else that's different. So this is what I really tried to do. And actually, just to show everybody, this is Bloodshed. Make sure everybody can see it. The cover was actually written by a good friend of mine, Steve. He's a really good artist, and I just always give him descriptions of what I want for the covers, but I can't draw like I used to anymore. So he was kind enough to do this for me. And you can just see, like, the port face up here in the background, who's actually the face of the villain of the story. And the villain of this particular story is a Porcelain Man, and he's just this kind of ominous guy who comes into the small town of Acerville, which is anywhere, well, actually Midwest USA. And he just comes to the town one night, and just he ends up killing one of the teenagers of this town. And the next day, like, the town has is really just so struck by this, because this is a small town where everybody knows everybody, and parents knew the parents of somebody else's whoever's daughter or son they went to school with, just really tight knit. And the main protagonist in this is Audrey Martin, and she typical 17-year-old girl who has her own group of friends, has a boyfriend, and while everybody else kind of sees this incident as kind of like a wrong place, wrong time, she kind of feels that something is really off about it, that there's more to it than just what people are just seeing on the surface, that she just kind of just has that primal instinct of something's really wrong here, something may actually be supernatural here, even though she can't really describe it or understand it. So she kind of is almost a little alone in her in her thoughts on this. But there are actually a few more murders, and then the town's really shaken to its core, and nobody's really understanding. And at that point, when a really close friend of hers dies, she really wants to get to the bottom of it. So she kind of goes out and sets out trying to almost prove her theory right, and just wanting to know like more about this guy. And she actually is attacked, but she manages to survive. And just during that struggle, it's kind of like her suspicions are kind of confirmed, and she then she really tries to explain to certain people, her mother, her boyfriend, her girlfriend that she's been friends with since kindergarten. And they want to believe her, and kind of believe her, but just seeing like just how close they are, and just being at the ages they are, and they kind of want to think out the box. But it's such an incredible thing to realize that it's just hard for them to accept. And so one of the things she does is kind of get the aid of the lead detective on the case, whose name is Detective Matthew Elliott, who kind of in a way feels how she does. He knows that there's something not quite right about this particular case, and he's worked on a lot of cases over the years, but this one, there's something about it. And they kind of share their theories with each other, and they both kind of want to learn more. But with him being like authoritarian, he's kind of like telling her to stay where you are, we'll handle this, or he'll handle this. And she kind of agrees, kind of like okay, like I won't. But they kind of go on their own like kind of respective journeys, trying to find out who this guy is. And the more she dives into it, the more she learns, and she realizes that she's kind of stepped way outside the box, and has gotten herself in this position where she just doesn't know what to do. And and the more, like, how she just figures it out, she just just kind of has something in her that she never knew that she had, but something that the killer actually kind of knows a little bit more about her than she does, which is kind of like the mystery in it, the story of like why he actually came to this small town, that it wasn't just by chance. And not to give too much away on it, but just to give you a brief synopsis on it. And yeah, just like just want just people know this out there, and that it's something different. And you can find it on Amazon. And just if you like paperback books, you can buy it as a book, or you can buy it as Kindle if you have like a e-reader or anything that you electronical that you use. But yeah, I think a lot of people will enjoy this, especially the horror people. And I'm even hoping that people who aren't really into horror can find something in it that they like and kind of can connect with, if they're a fan of more character-driven stories. And I think they'll really enjoy this one. And so just to let people see it again, it's called Bloodshed. Definitely horror. So if you if you kind of get scared of horror movies, don't read it at night. Read it during the day. Just have somebody with you. And so, closing, all I can tell you is buy it, read it, and love it. Alright, y'all. Peace out.